Why hello YouTube, it's Nuclear Weasel here bringing you another deck profile. This deck profile has been asked for by a recent viewer, so I figured I might as well talk about it. This would be Mono Red Devotion. And it has seen a little bit of change since my last one, so I guess we can get right into it. This is not really Mono Red Devotion, kind of a little bit hasties, I guess. This is Big Red. So, without further ado, we can get right into it. And we got, for our 5-drops, we got 2 Storm Breaths. Storm Breath as a 3 of or 4 of is a little bit clunky to me. And they're expensive to find right about now. Honestly, the most expensive card in the deck. So, clearly, they're effective, but for a 5-drop, you really don't need a whole lot of them. But it's still a 4/4 flyer that has pro white. Monstrous isn't all that great, because if they made that a less monstrous, then this card would be a monster to deal with. So, I mean, yeah. 2 Storm Breaths, pretty straightforward. You don't need anything else other than 2. 2 seems like a stable number. The only reason I haven't been able to post this recently is because of these a-holes. It's Flame Wreath Phoenix. I recently bought 2, and at the pre-release I pulled 1. So, I'm still waiting for mine to come in, so that I actually own it, I just don't have it on me right now. So 2 Flame Wreath Phoenixes, and if you didn't notice, we're already in the 4-drop section, because that was it. Flame Wreath Phoenix, 2 Devotion to red right off the bat, then 2 colorless. It's a 3/3 flyer that, if you don't tribute, it's a 3/3 flyer with haste that can come back forever. Or it's a 5/5 flyer that's a 5/5 flyer. I mean, come on. For 4, it's awesome. Red finally got their own freaking thing to deal with a worm. Because nothing's more scary than seeing an instant speed worm. But yeah, Flame Wreath Phoenix, pretty solid card. It most of the time gets tributed and then killed in the mono black matchup. So that's how that usually goes. That's the only way I've ever been able to play it. Because I've been playtesting against my buddy. So, can only speculate on how good it is right now, because it's actually not legal and standard yet. Oh, well, it is now, but it's not the point. Anyway, we have the boss man of the deck, 4 Fanatic Mogus. If you're running less than 4, you shouldn't be running Mono Red Devotion at all. Period. End of story. Goodbye, the end. We're not going to discuss that anymore. And our last 4-drop, 1 Perforos. Perforos is a pretty solid dude. A 4-drop, indestructible, animates when you got 5 Devotion to it. He counts as 1 himself, so a Burning Tree, Perforos activates swing 6. And you can give your dudes +1/+0 until end of turn, but that's, if that was 2, a colorless and a red, that'd be insane. It's really the ability to deal 2 damage whenever a creature comes in is a key kicker right there. Because you're dropping so many dudes while he's out in the field. Turn 4, turn 3 you can get him out if possible, but turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, it's all really good. He's not a necessity in the deck, but he's just a plus. That's why he's a 1 of. On to the 3-drops. We have my favorite little flyer, Shatter's Phoenix. Shatter's Phoenix is a pretty solid flyer in this format right about now, because of all the burn that this deck has. You have the ability to be able to go and get it back. And when we go into the instants and sorceries, you'll see why that this card is very viable now, much more than it was before, while Shock was the only card that could really get it back with ease. I mean, you have Skullcracks in sideboard, the new Searing Blood, you got Magma Jet, you got Shock itself, if I haven't already said that. You got Lightning Strike. I mean, there's so much burn. Burn, baby, burn. Get the Phoenix back is really what just happens. Because it's a 2/2 for 3 with the 2 Devotion, the flying, and the infinite comeback. It's always pretty good. If it didn't have haste, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. Because then that'd be awful. And our last 3-drop is Reckoner. I'm not going to debate this too much because a 3 of Reckoner's necessity in mono white or mono red. Period. End of story. Goodbye, the end. mono red or mono white needs to run 4 Boros Reckoners because it can always play it if you got the mana to do it. Because Nykthos usually kind of deters on that ability, which has happened very few times. But if that happens, then you should have enough dudes out on the field to activate Nykthos and bring him out anyway. So that is it for our 3-drops. We're going to go into our 2-drops, which is 2 Frostburn Weirds. I cut these down because Flame Wreath Phoenix is a pretty solid card, and Stormbreath needed to come in as well. So, 2 Frostburn Weirds, because the aggro matchups are real and are a threat, so you gotta watch out for how that happens. So, you have a blocker and a dude that can pump himself, plus the 2 Devotion. Pretty straightforward, pretty solid. Don't need to debate it too more. Firefist Strikers. Also cut these down to 2. I actually almost considered taking them out completely to run a playset of Searing Bloods. But I stuck up with 3 and kept 2 of these in instead. Because while it only has 1 Devotion to red, the no blocking is killer this format. Oh my god. Everybody and their grandma is running mono black. So the demon that's sitting there, it's flying over you for 6 every other turn and making you sack your dudes, isn't a real threat when you choose it not to block. Always a good thing. And now we're going to go into the main 2-drop that I don't need to ever debate ever. Burning Tree. Don't need to discuss it. It's a must-have. The mana ability never really... It doesn't hinder you a whole lot with your double red creatures because you never really have to cast anything other than it. And then you activate Nykthos with this, which is insane. You go Burning Tree, which you got your other dudes out, and then you go activate Nykthos for 6 or 5. It's dumb. Or even 4. 4! That's right there. You can cast almost anything in the deck. All but Stormbreath. That's not saying that you already don't have land out on the field other than that. That's insane. Too good. And for our last 2-drop, we have a playset of Ash Zealots. Ash Zealot isn't as good as it was back in Innistrad, only due to the lack of flashback now. But still, a 2/2 for 2, first strike, hasty, beat your face in with a flaming mace is always pretty solid. I like this card. It usually gets killed off a lot because it's such a real threat. Because any single burn spell to anything big, this will eventually run over whatever it is. So, yeah, pretty good. The reason I don't have Recto Shred Freaks in here is because while the 2-1 for 2 is really good if you're going for that. My creature base, I guess I could cut down on the Phoenixes, but then I would rather have a Phoenix that comes back forever if I get the right amount of burn and it's a flyer that has haste for 1 more than having a 2/2 for 2/1 that I'll probably hold back if a little weenie can chump it. Whereas Phoenix can fly over and eat weenies all day if they're chump blocking them with it. So that's my opinion on Rakdos Shred Freak. It's a good, solid card. It's great in hasties. You just don't need it in Big Red right now. Not yet. And probably never will in the future. Before, it was kind of a plus to have it. Now it's eh. So now we'll go into Instants, which we have 3 Lightning Strikes, 3 Magma Jets, and 3 Searing Bloods. The reason for the cutoff on each of them is that I had to drop 1 of each of these for 2 Searing Bloods, and 1 of the... I figured it out while I was talking about it, and I forgot to mention it. Or no, I was thinking of how I was going to mention it. I forgot how I did. Oh, the Perforos. The Perforos is the other added card, which meant not a playset of 1 of these. While Lightning Strike, it shoots your players and shoots your creatures for 3. Searing Spear all over again, pretty solid. 3 Magma Jets. 2 for 2 damage. Scry 2 is insane right now because you're not only killing stuff, you're getting your Phoenix back if you need it, and your Scrying to set up turns. You can drop those mountains down to the bottom, or set up your plays with the burning trees, and just the Magma Jet is key right now. Because Mono Red really doesn't have good matchups against Mono Blue or Mono Black unless you know what you're going to do. If you're just drawn out of the whim of your deck, it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you got the heart of the cards, quotes, you have to know what you're going to get, or else you lose. And then Searing Blood, because dealing 2 damage and then dealing 3 damage is killer. I mean, what else does Mono Red need than a creature killer and a damage dealer in one spell, 2 mana? It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So basically how that's going to work is that it pretty much does a whole lot, and it's a pretty good card. So I had to cut down how this works and how I do it. The 3 of each seems like a pretty solid. I might cut a Searing Blood, maybe board it, and board the other 2, or the other one, just so that aggro matchups are always good, and against big dudes I don't have to worry. And for the last 2 cards of the deck that are playable spells are 2 hammers, because hammer giving all your creatures haste is pretty awesome. Then sacrificing those unneeded lands you have is just a bonus, and the +2 red devotion, it makes this card an essential, viable card in the deck. And now we go into land. 2 Nykthoses. You can run as many Nykthoses as you want, as long as it's less than 4, because 4 is just dumb. I don't know why you would ever run 4 Nykthoses unless you wanted to cast, I don't know, Emrakul, which, actually, now that I think about it, would be really fun to cast Emrakul with Nykthos, but that's not the point. Nykthos, as good as it is, it can get really clunky. You don't want to have a whole lot of dudes in your, or Nykthoses, and not being able to use them. I've actually ended up sacking this to hammer, and then playing the Golem, playing the Nykthos again, tapping it for more mana, and then playing more stuff, which happens. So 2 Nykthoses is really all you need, and then the rest you fill up with land, which is 18, by the way. 18 mountains that make the deck run like a deck. Considering that without mountains, Mono Red would kind of be a moot deck. I'm working on getting them all arched. Stay tuned. Main deck aside, we go for the sideboard. 2 Legion Loyalists, 2 Active Treasons, 2 Ratchet Bombs, 2 Mizium Mortars, 3 Burning Earths, and 4 Skullcracks. I'll describe them all briefly. Legion Loyalists, because tokens are a thing, Elspeth is a thing, worms are a thing, tokens are a thing. First strike is always good, trample is even better. Done. Active Treason, stealing your big dude, beating your face in with your big dude, and winning. Great. Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb is only good right now in this sideboard because of Mono Blue. Mono Blue has Master of Waves, and Master of Waves can get intensely annoying. I have my face in my hand because Master of Waves won a game a little bit ago for someone. Because Master of Waves is a pretty good card. Just killing all the tokens is even good. Is really good. And then, there you go, tokens. And then you got the plus ability to just go and kill Master Waves. Well, that takes a while, because it's a 4-drop. Ta-da, you can still kill Master Waves. Mizium Mortars, because killing big dudes. Burning Earth, because Esper and 3 colors is still a thing. So is Maze. Pretty straightforward. Then, because there's so much freaking life gain in the format right now, Skullcrack is a necessity. Almost considered playing in the main board. I haven't gotten that far yet. I talked about it a while ago, haven't got that far. Thought about it, considered it, did it once, took him out immediately and said, what am I doing? Almost put him back in. And then I pondered. Tapped 1 blue, pondered. So what would these do? These would not only cut down on my ability to kill things, have the choice of killing things and whatnot, it would also cut down on my need to play it. I would always be sitting with this in my hand. It's like, oh, are they going to gain life? I don't know what I'm playing. Because, I mean, if you're playing mono red, or just straight up blue, or I guess green. Green doesn't gain a whole lot of life right about now. It's red, blue, and green you don't have to worry about. Blue, white, and black and white are two very different things, like 4 different things. White, black, and white, blue all gain life. Oh, so does green, white. So anything with white or black in it gains life. So you gotta watch out. That's why life gain is pretty solid in this format right about now, only because there isn't a whole lot that red can do about it. Anyway, that's the deck. Leave comments below on whether or not I should add things or take things out. I do take into consideration everything that anybody says in the comments section. I respond within a few weeks if possible, but I'm going to start paying attention more to my YouTube account due to its increasing popularity with Magic, because Magic is apparently better than Yu-Gi-Oh!, and I've even said it myself. So, thank you for watching. Please rate and subscribe, and don't forget to comment on what your take is on the deck. Thank you, and goodbye, YouTube.